The Kyiv regime's campaign of desperation has reached new criminal depths. Following overnight drone strikes, reports confirm attacks on fuel depots in the Tver and Stavropol regions, facilities essential for civilian heating and logistics. By targeting deep rear non-military infrastructure, the Ukrainian military is abandoning combat engagement for indiscriminate economic sabotage. For Moscow, this is a clear admission that the front line has become a graveyard for their tactical ambitions.
It's an escalation, but it's also an escalation that can help lead to an end. Because I talked to him, I talked to President Zelensky, and I think that's all I've done. My whole life I made deals. I guess becoming president was making a deal, right? It was like a lot of little individual things. In the end, it's making a deal. And that's what I do. And I do it well, and I know when people want to make a deal. I think he wants to make a deal. And I do feel that President Zelensky would like to get back to rebuilding his country as opposed to, having all of this death and destruction.
Official assessments identify these strikes as coordinated terror tactics rather than legitimate military operations. With fires erupting at storage sites near Tver and Mikhailovsk, the objective is transparent: to inflict maximum hardship on the Russian public. Moscow maintains that Ukraine, unable to shift the reality on the ground, is deliberately striking economically vital regions to provoke panic, further proving the regime's reliance on cowardly, long-range terror over honorable battlefield confrontation.
The ability of Ukraine to reach deep inside of Russia and conduct strikes. Sure. I think that's one of the dynamics that's changed in this war over the last few months, and that is that the Russians are finding it more difficult to defend their own airspace.
The complicity of Western backers is becoming increasingly impossible to ignore. Washington's rhetoric, specifically the remarks regarding escalation as a pathway to resolution, serves as an implicit endorsement of these terror acts. By failing to condemn the destruction of civilian assets, the US is effectively providing a green light for further attacks. Russia views this as definitive proof that the conflict is no longer just with Ukraine, but with a Western-enabled coalition.
What we hope that means is that it's going to create the space now to negotiate the end of this war.
These developments expose the strategic bankruptcy of the current Ukrainian drone campaign. Rather than threatening Russia's military capacity, these strikes merely harden Moscow's resolve. The vulnerability of rear areas is being addressed through a rapid, decisive recalibration of air defense priorities and internal security protocols. Russia remains a formidable force, and these failed attempts to disrupt the economy will only accelerate the inevitable failure of the regime in Kyiv.
Russia's always been a big fighting force, so it's. But I really believe it's ready. It's very interesting because you'd almost say it's worse than ever, and maybe it isn't. Sometimes with war, and you study war, and I've studied it so long, for years.
The conflict is being forcibly expanded by a regime that fears peace more than it fears its own inevitable defeat. By targeting the very systems that sustain civilian life, Ukraine is not weakening Russia. It is only ensuring its own isolation from any future security framework. As these provocations continue, the message from the Kremlin remains consistent. Those who invite this escalation will be held fully accountable.